Okay, and you can hear me as well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Pardon me, I forgot to mute my phone when I came in. Okay. All right, Mr. Sorensen, this is on your motion. Anything you wish to say? I've read what you submitted.
Yeah, Tiffany violated the order signed by Honorable Commissioner Baldwin at our most recent hearing. Commissioner ordered both Tiffany and me to use our family wizard as a means of communication from now on. After court, she ordered both of us to contact our family wizard and pay our portion of the order. I complied immediately. Tiffany did not comply with the order and later refused. This is Tiffany's third contempt since July. She continues to disregard the court orders. As you can see in her most recent declaration, she blatantly disregards the orders of the court, criticizes and devalues Commissioner Baldwin's qualifications and judgment, complains about our present guardian ad litem, Twyla Corey, tells the court exactly what she will and won't abide by. So you can imagine how she addresses me behind closed doors, which is why the need for the third-party communication outlet is vital in making Christopher the priority for the few years we have left. We are all doing our best for Christopher, our current GAL, Twyla, the judges and commissioners who have assisted us in the case. We are all working diligently to comply with the court orders to ensure fairness and do what is best for Christopher. I am doing everything in my power and have complied with every order placed and corralled in every way possible. Does not make sense for this case when only one parent is actively working to make Christopher a priority. Tiffany seems to be escalating and creating a worst possible scenarios to impact her son. I just request that the courts help me cement a preventative measure and continuing contempt.
Ms. Pike, is there anything you wish to say?
Yes. My son is my first priority. My first contempt, my son refused to go to his father's. I tried to get court right away. Of course, court dates are always 2 to 3 weeks out. I was held in contempt because my son refused to go to his father's. He was ordered to go. He ran away from his father's house. So we did more paperwork, went back to court. I was held in contempt because, again, they were thinking I was withholding my son when he's the one refusing and ran away from his father's. This last contempt or court date, she asked my opinion on the My Family Wizard app. I declined it. I said, there's no need for an app when we've text messaged this. My son's almost 15. We've been using our phone communication for almost 15 years, and it's never been a problem until he addressed it last court date that it is a problem, and it's not. And I can't afford to pay the guardian ad litem, and they already know that. And I can't pay to download an app on my phone that does something that I already pay for. So I don't feel like I should be held in contempt because for not downloading an app because we communicate just fine during text messages.
Well, from looking at the text messages, it's pretty clear that's not the case.
I don't understand that.
The text messages look pretty, they escalate quickly and a lot of people get obnoxious, don't you think?
I believe that's what I put in my declaration, that he was the combative one, and I try to communicate, and he's always rude to me.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me?
No, I think that's it.
All right, Mr. Sorensen, anything you want to respond to?
As far as the payment, it's $99 for a year subscription to the app.
All right, so Ms. Fike, this is real simple. There's an order that says you're to both use the Family Wizard. That's not a suggestion. It's not aspirational. It's a court order. And you have to follow it or you're going to be in contempt. That means if when you're in contempt, you either pay money or you do jail time or there's some other sanction. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to get that Our Family Wizard and you're going to get it immediately. I'm going to continue this matter for 1 week. Next Thursday, that'll be the 28th at 9 o'clock. If you've got the Family Wizard, we'll talk about what kind of fine, if any, is going to be imposed because of your failure to get it so far. If you don't have it, the options are a lot more serious. Is there any part of that you don't understand?
No.
That will be all. And you and Christopher, looks like we're married in 2008.
Correct.
And separated in June of 19.
Correct.
And 2 children.
Correct.
And how long have you been following the current parenting plan, or the one that you're proposing?
Since the beginning, 2019, when we split
Is it working?
perfectly. We have a very good relationship and we're able to communicate well.
And how are the kids doing with it?
Pretty good. They, of course, had questions and concerns and stuff, and we both openly talked to them and let them know what was going on with enough knowledge for their age.
Good, glad to hear it. And is the child support the amount that's being paid or has been paid for a while now?
Yes.
And that's below the, what would be the standard calculation? Why is that?
I know his financial situation, and we both kind of just work together. There'll be months where I need a little bit more and he has no problem with that. And he does do a lot of stuff for the kids outside of the child support.
All right, and that lower amount's not creating any problems in your house, it sounds like?
No.
And if there are, he's pitching in.
Correct.
Is your marriage irretrievably broken?
Correct.
I will grant the dissolution and sign all the paperwork. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
And state your names first, you please, ma'am.
Rainey Williams.
And you, sir?
Kenneth Williams.
You both signed all these pleadings,
Correct.
Yes.
and there are 2 children, 11 and 6.
Yes.
And how long have you been following this parenting plan for?
6 or so years.
Okay. And I take it it's working?
Oh, absolutely. We have a system.
Okay, that's your position too, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've got child support 200 for each child, total 200. I don't understand what's going on there.
Is that are you referring to why am I asking that low, or?
Well, first question is it 200 a month or 400 a month?
I think I put 200 a month. It's all new to me, Your Honor, sorry.
Okay, so what's the total being paid each month?
200.
200 or 400?
2.
Why so low?
He helps in every manner that I need him in. I mean, school pictures, school clothes, school supplies, whatever it may be. He's always there to lend a helping hand. He does have finances to take care of on his own end. It's just been a system that we've had for a long time, and it just works for us.
My concern is that's over $1,000 a month less than what the state guidelines call for. You understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I mean, if we were to break out receipts for everything that he does for our children, it'd be well over $1,000.
Have you divided up all your property?
We don't have property.
But yes, Your Honor.
And debts? Those been divided?
Yes.
All right, well, given the length of time that this has been going on, I'll approve that support order. So, ma'am, is your marriage irretrievably broken?
Yes.
And you agree, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, I will grant the decree, sign the orders.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Hi there, Your Honor. This is Amanda Holder for Mr. Jeffrey DePriest. And I believe Mr. Anagnosti represents Melissa Howard in this matter.
So, counsel, where are we?
Okay, so this matter has gotten a little bit complicated. Mr. DePriest originally filed for emergency guardianship. We have had issues finding Mr. Joel Showden, the father. We tried serviced by publication through a small paper up near King County. Forgive me, I forget the name of the exact paper. The last, that ran its full publication every Friday for 6 weeks. The last guardianship docket we were on a month ago, the judge informed us that we had done the publication improperly by not publishing in Cowlitz County. We have tried tracking down Dad, can't find him, tried serving him at a homeless encampment. No one was there. Mom, Melissa Howard, is saying she's not sure if he's dead or in jail. We've checked all the jail records for Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. Nothing is coming through. I have tried emailing him at an email address that did not get a bounce back, but we haven't heard anything from him. The issue is this has been going on for, I believe, 3 extensions now for the emergency guardianship. We are, I believe the court, we filed this morning. My paralegal dropped off the paperwork this morning to file for the full guardianship. But the issue has become, this is extremely cost prohibitive for my client for $2,100 to publish in Cowlitz. And so I would like the court to know, what is the next step with it being so cost prohibitive and trying to do everything possible to find the father and not finding him.
Mr. Agnosto, you have any issue?
My issue, of course, I represent the mother, Melissa Howard, and my issue is with regards to visitation. And I'm not sure if the court wants to hear about that at this time. We were going to review that as well. There was an issue with claim that my client was homeless. She is in the community house now. So she's in a safe environment in the community house, regular drug testing, that type of thing. So there's no issues with her housing at this time. And we would like, she got to visit the petitioner allowed to visit this weekend for a couple hours, but we want to expand that to the community house and overnights and get going on her getting custody of her son back.
And Your Honor, may I respond to that?
Sure.
From my understanding and talking with Mr. DePriest, Ms. Howard has had some visits. They've been periodic. They've been sporadic when he has been there. She's flaked out. She said she's going to come by. She doesn't. On the last hearing we had a month ago, Ms. Howard admitted on the record that she was homeless at the time. So that is why the GAL, Ms. Day, is now involved. It becomes an issue of Ms. Howard does have, we believe she has substance abuse issues. She has a history of having children and then having them adopted out once they get to be about the age.
Well, Your Honor, can I brief response?
Not quite yet. Hang on. Ms. Day.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm having some connectivity issues. I'm about to head to a funeral, and so I'm at the airport, so I apologize.
Okay.
But the issue is not letting Miss Melissa Howard see Odin. Mr. DePriest has been very good about doing that. It's about taking him unsupervised into a community home or homeless, because that's just not the best environment for Odin at this time. Additionally, he just started kindergarten, so he needs the stability during the school week.
All right, Ms. Day.
So,
yes, Your Honor, I have had my first contact with Mother yesterday. She contacted me, sent me the documents, and I will be meeting with her next week. I don't have any objection to supervised visits. I wouldn't be comfortable with unsupervised at this point until we have some reason to believe that she is engaged in substance abuse evaluation and or treatment and see copies of her UAs. I'm assuming they're clean because she was admitted to reside at community house, but I haven't seen them yet, and I haven't had any face-to-face contact yet.
All right. Mr. Agnosto, anything to add?
Yeah, this came up at the last hearing. We indicated that my client has been homeless and she's was able to get into the community house. She's resolving some issues. She's got those resolved, and the community house is drug free, and the court knows that there's families over there. And we want to expand her contact with her son. It's difficult for her to visit at Mr. DePriest's home. He's not biologically related to her son. He's a step ex-grandfather, and she wants her son back. She wants her son returned to her.
All right. So first of all, as to the visitation, we're going to go a couple hours, 2 times a week. I don't have any problem with that being supervised at community house. I know community house staff are sometimes in a position to do that and sometimes not. So if it can be arranged, that's fine. If not, it's going to be with Mr. DePriest. As far as the petition goes and notice to Mr. Chadoin, absent some other information, I don't know that we've got, well, if we had positive information that places him where the publication took place before, I think that might be sufficient. But if all we've got is, you know, general rumor and maybe, I think you're going to have to publish in Cowlitz County. I will extend the guardianship now that the petition for full guardianship has been filed, but I think those are the only 2 options, counsel. If we've got some information that can say that this was published in a newspaper of general circulation in the location the respondent can be found, as I recall, that's sufficient under the rule. Absent that, it'll have to be Cowlitz. The 18th would be as far as we could put it out.
We need a
Pardon?
We need a Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. I'm sorry. Okay, so Thursday the 19th at 10:30.
Is that October 19th, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. And you'll get an order extending, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we
That
all
will be all.
have things, I'm guilty of it as well. Every party in this filed something yesterday.
Oh, good.
And I'm wondering if Your Honor wants to set this over a week. I didn't ask anybody because I don't know what anybody else wants to do. It's pretty late. We got the GAL report or the court visitor report this morning as well, and we're all guilty of it. Every single party in this case.
Well, these things happen at whatever pace they happen, and I understand sometimes that's difficult for counsel. What's everybody's position on moving this to next week?
My client would object to that, Your Honor. I represent the father. There's really no allegations against the father other than he's he tells the children what they need to do. He parents them, and they don't like that. But so my client wants his children returned to him immediately, and we would not want a continuance of this hearing.
And that's not 100% correct. Myron Winkles, on behalf of the child, is claiming the father does methamphetamine and also claiming the father is verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive to the children.
I did see his plea or affidavit in her response. Mr. Esau, what's your position?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that I need more time because everybody but me filed something late yesterday, especially 4 o'clock yesterday. I received 4 different documents. In addition, though, my client wants to have visitation with the children, be that supervised at least. She hasn't had a chance to talk with either one of them since June. It's already September. She's very concerned about them living at the Harrington residence and what goes on there, but we're not here to argue for that today. She just needs visitation right away. I don't know if we want to wait until Miss Farr has a chance to speak with Jeremy Murphy, which she says she is scheduled for the 27th. We might want the Thursday following the 27th if we want to have any input on Mr. Murphy, but that's I suppose that's Mr. Agnostu's prerogative at this point. But my client would at least like a week to get visitation and to get a formal response to some of these exaggerations that are in the documents that I read today.
Do we have Ms. Farr?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
So you were appointed as court visitor. Any reason I shouldn't appoint you as GAL at this point?
Actually, Your Honor, that is when I filed my report this morning, that is what I'm requesting, that I be discharged as the court visitor now that I've filed my report and be appointed, or someone be appointed as the guardian ad litem.
All right.
And Your Honor, we request that it be Sherry Farr, given that she's already interviewed the parties here. And my clients are both young children and they accept her.
That certainly makes the most sense, especially given where we're at right now. Ms. Farr, what's your position about some sort of contact with the parents?
And so, Your Honor, I haven't had any, I have not interviewed Mr. Murphy yet. I know that the children do not want to have contact, but I did explain to Mr. Esau and mother yesterday in an interview that I was going to ask for additional time, and another week would be sufficient, I believe, so that I could talk with the other parties concerning some of the things that mother brought up to me yesterday before I could really make a good decision on recommendation for visits.
All right, I'm going to continue this for 1 week. We'll appoint Ms. Farr as the GAL. Pending that, if both parents are to make arrangements immediately to talk to Ms. Farr, and I will leave it to Ms. Farr because if there's going to start some sort of visits, reunification, whatever you want to call it, I don't want to delay it any longer than absolutely necessary. So if Ms. Farr is comfortable that the visits are going to be positive rather than a negative, I am okay with her arranging those between now and next Thursday. And then next Thursday, the 28th, we will figure out where we go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Your Honor.
And it sounds like, I think mother might have already, but it sounds like just to forestall those issues, I think both parents probably need to get UA and hair tests done.
I agree, Your Honor.
That would speed things along.
Yeah, that would be very appropriate in this case.
All right, then.
Well, Your Honor, if you're going to order that, are you going to order the petitioners to get a hair follicle and UA? They submitted some kind of home test.
No, so I give the
there's
test.
allegations that there's
Ms. Winkles,
drugs
hang on, let
in
Mr.
your household.
Adenostu finish. Okay, Mr. Adenostu, go ahead.
Well, there's allegation. My client brought in allegations of a individual that's living in her home, significant drug issues going on in her home. And so if there's going to be hair follicle and UAs done, it should be on them as well.
Ms. Winkles?
Yes, Your Honor. So I give UAs to all the children that I represent at my office, depending on their age, observed or not observed by a female. We did actually UA both of the parents in this case, because again, my duty is to the child. It's not necessarily 100% of what they want. Sometimes it's just what they need. So I did UA both parents. A hair follicle, I can't do at the office, obviously.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are observed.
You said UA to parents. You're referring to?
Oh, sorry, the UA to the guardians, the petitioners.
Okay.
They both tested positive for marijuana. They tested negative for every other substance. We do an extended UA. I cannot do a hair follicle. It's cost prohibitive at my office, so that's there.
It's a in office. It's not a legitimate test, Your Honor.
I understand that.
And Your Honor, it is a legitimate test. It's the same test that they give at all the UA places here. The only difference is that you can send it in for confirmation afterwards. But I can, as an officer of the court, I can guarantee that number one, it's observed. Number two, the results are pictured and are done on the 5-minute basis, which is what
it's not a hair follicle test.
It's not a hair follicle.
No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, it sounds to me like the petitioner probably got a hair follicle also.
Both.
All right.
And did you want both, because the petitioner is Gianna, and then she's also with, I believe, Taylor Rain. Do you want both or just one?
The other adult in the house, I think.
Okay, both.
Should as well.
Did Your Honor want me to do an order extending?
Yeah, I think we'll need to do that. Just through next Thursday.
Okay, I can do that, and I can send it around to everybody and also just forward it to Your Honor.
All right.
And Your Honor, would it be okay if Ms. Winkles also prepares the GAL order?
Any objection to that, Ms. Winkles?
No, I can do it all immediately after the hearing's over.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, Christine Dow representing the petitioner, Jamie West.
Good morning, Your Honor. Delana Jones, representing the respondent mother, Marlene Melton, who is present on the Zoom platform this morning.
Right.
And Your Honor, Ms. West is also present.
All right, Ms. Dow, go ahead.
Your Honor, we're asking the court to extend the ex parte order at least another week. We were served with Ms. Mellon's response on Tuesday. I had a chance to have a brief chat with my client yesterday evening, but she's specifically disputing some of Ms. Mellon's statements that go directly to whether or not this guardianship should be granted. The child recently had surgery. He's recovering, but he needs vocal therapy. The polyps that were removed from his vocal cords. He's locally in the school that he was in last year. And before we proceed any further, we would like the opportunity to address some of the statements that Ms. Mellon made that go directly to the root of this case.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Your Honor. We would understand if the court needed to continue this at least to next week to allow time for the other side to review what we submitted. It isn't that substantive. I did just come onto the case this week and filed as quickly as we could to supplement the objection that the respondent mother filed previously. But with the records that we filed, even if we're just relying on the sealed records, they do address the alleged concerns that the petitioner, Ms. West, had stated in her petition. There really isn't a substantial harm that is needing to be prevented in this case. What we really need is that Ms. West cooperate in providing crucial information to the respondent mother so that she can finish doing what she's already started, which is trying to enroll the child in school. She doesn't have a social security number. She's been requesting that for months, since June 30th, since the child was placed in her care. She's been requesting health insurance information since that time as well. And it does appear via the communications of the parties that the child was in agreement to rely on Ms. West's health insurance for medical appointments throughout the summer. But as of August 6th, it really should have been switched over to the respondent mother. So it is our position that these are easy fixes. There's not substantial harm that is to be had. It's that Ms. West is taking actions, intentionally delaying the process for Ms. Melton to obtain the child's birth certificate, to get him into health insurance, to get his vaccination records, to enroll him in school. So Ms. Melton's done everything she can. It's just she needs Ms. West's cooperation. She gets stuck at every part without the social security number, like I said. That would be our position, is in general to deny the petition and have the child returned, and in order for Ms. West to cooperate in the process. But if we need one more week to suss that information out, then that's what the court needs to do.
And Your Honor, if I may, these are statements that we directly need to address, and I misspoke. Unfortunately, I am not available on the 28th is next Thursday. Yes. I'm sorry, I have a surgical appointment on that date and I am not going to be available. So we are asking there's no harm to be done at this point, given that the child has been with his grandmother for years. There's no harm that's going to occur if we extend the order out 2 weeks rather than one, and give us a chance to address some of the things that Ms. Melton has said.
All right. Well, even without reference to your unavailability, my thought was and is I want to continue this 2 weeks because this is potentially of short duration, or not. I don't know which way it's going to go. But I think I want a court visitor involved to give me some kind of independent information rather than just having to rely on the two parties. So let's put this over to the Thursday following, which is what, the 5th?
Yes.
Okay, October 5th. In the meantime, we'll appoint a court visitor. Ms. Dow, you have to check with court administration to see who's next on the list. And in that 2 weeks, Ms. West should provide the Social Security and other information requested so that if in 2 weeks the decision is that the child's going to be with her mother, that the mother in the meantime has all that put together. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I just want to make sure whichever way we go, we've got as smooth a landing pad available as possible.
So, Your Honor, just to confirm my understanding here, I'll check with administration to see who's up on the roster for the visitor. And then I'll just submit ex parte an order for the visitor's appointment.
Yes.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just briefly, I did want to make sure I'm understanding this as well. The visitor appointed, you'll have to forgive me, I don't practice in this county very often, but appointed to arrange for visits between the child and parent, just to interview the parent. And if it's just the latter, we would request that some kind of visitation be allowed in between.
At this point, it's just for information from both parties.
And then regarding a request for setting up some kind of contact between the child and the parent, there aren't allegations necessarily. I mean, the petition didn't focus on drug use, something that we're happy to address as well. I don't
Let's
see
just limit it to, we'll just limit it to phone contact, ask the parties to set up a couple of phone calls each week over the next 2 weeks.
We don't have a problem with that, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The child's mother.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right. And it's Miss Gilliam, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
And we have the father.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So Miss Gilliam, what's your position about this?
Well, Your Honor, originally this started out because my daughter was grounded from her cell phone, as were all the children in the house, because we had indicated that we needed them to get some chores finished, basic household chores. And then when we found that the kids were on their phones, we took the phones as punishment over the weekend because nobody had done their chores. My daughter, Samantha, had contacted me twice from a cell phone that she had been grounded from. The second time was rather confusing because the first time I thought I had the phone in my possession. It turns out it was a second phone that she had. When she called me the second time off of a phone that I thought I had grounded her from, I was confused because the phone was in a locked bedroom in a nightstand drawer. Because of my daughter's very apparent addiction to technology and with some of the questionable things and behaviors that I've been seeing over the last few years and more recently the last few months, my intent was to eventually go through the phone to kind of figure out what was going on. After I had a conversation with my daughter about she needed to put the phone away and she needed to leave the phone alone and I would talk to her after I got home from work, I received a text message from my mother saying that she had gone to the house and picked up my daughter and that she was going to keep her for a day because she was upset about something. I then told my mom that Sam was in trouble for lying to me about a phone and that she needed to go home. It was a school night and that there was no reason for her to be taken from the house. It turned into a day or so texting conversation about how I needed to go have a talk with my mother about Sam, implying that that she was not going to be returned to me until I talked to my mother about whatever it was that was going on. A couple days later, I got a visit from a CPS worker with the claims that are listed in the original petition for the immediate guardianship. We spoke with CPS, we discussed everything, and then over the weekend, I attempted to retrieve my daughter from my mother, but then I was informed that there was paperwork in the process for emergency placement and that I was not allowed on the property and that I was not allowed to go retrieve my daughter from my mother's care.
What happened with the report, the referral to CPS?
From what my mother and I actually went and had a meeting with the CPS worker on Monday because part of the order is that they're requesting that all of Samantha's belongings be returned to her by the 28th of this month. while I was going through her belongings to gather everything up in the case that the guardianship is granted to my mother, I found some very disturbingly graphic items in her belongings as far as art, different things that have been happening online. So
Let me
my mother.
Let me stop a second. Let me ask the question again. So what was the result of the CPS investigation? Has it been concluded or not?
No, no. As we had a meeting with my mother and I had a meeting with the CPS worker on Monday, and she told both my mother and I that the case is going to be closed because the claims in the original complaint are unfounded.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Brightmeyer?
Yes, sir.
And what's your position about this?
I honestly don't have much of a position. I am 2,000 miles away, and all I know is
very emotional. For the last 17 years, I have been subjected to mental, emotional, psychological abuse, threats of being killed, threats of our mother being killed, or our pets or harm to come to us if we ever tried to leave the situations. And my mother has a habit of covering it up with they're loud or that they need help or it's their mental psyche that needs to be checked out in order to fix the problem. I don't feel safe in that household because of past experiences and things I have been told from the children in that house. And
take a breath. Big breath.
I had mentioned to my sister that I felt like I was either going to die by their hands or mine because of circumstances, and it had gotten so bad that through the relationships, I have started contemplating suicide and self-harm, where 2 days prior to the call made, I was thinking of the attempt to break that chain of the abuse because I couldn't tell what was going to happen, and I was fearful of getting harmed when my mother came back to the house because I wasn't aware if Nicholas was with her or not from the claims he has made over the phones into his children of me. I do not feel safe going over there, as it has been stated that I would be put on suicide watch by the adults in a camper that is offside of the house. I don't want to be isolated, and I feel a lot safer here in knowing that I have nightmares of being dragged back to that house. Multiple in one night doesn't make me feel safer if going back there is the option.
Deep breath.
I had explained to my mother this wasn't over a phone and that it hadn't been, and that it has been the course of said 17 years of abuse and neglect. And she had gone back around and said it was of the phone after hearing me over what I had told her. And she has made claims against me.
Deep breath.
That I had spoken to her about. And in the paperwork provided, she made her list of things and reasonings. And with the substance abuse were provided by her and whoever was in the home, such as the alcohol. The weed was with someone we were living with at the time named Jay, and it ended up with my sister in the hospital for using it on medication. And I'm going off of what I remember. I'm so sorry. I don't want to go back there. genuinely. And if it makes it better, I would want to request a guardian ad litem.
There's your statement here.
I have also been on the side of abuse, verbally, mentally. I have been called mentally slow. I wouldn't amount to anything. I have been told by her previous ex-husband I was the reason why I didn't stop my own molestation. When we got into an argument over my sister, I've seen and heard my mother be abused in situations that I shouldn't have been a part of. Yes, I will admit I have drawn and written very dark things since 6th grade, but that is all because of the trauma that has welted up and significantly grown in strength throughout the years. And since being with my grandparents, I feel more comfortable, and I feel like I don't have to be scared of waiting for something to happen to me when I get home, or when I'm told I'll be spoken to, or I hear something that the adults say that are very negative about me or towards me and what feels like an attack. My mother has said I have had mental problems, and there have, for the last couple of months, has felt like there has been little to no help to try and get those seen, because when I have spoken to her on the accounts of I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable, something is wrong, I have been pushed off and told Nicholas is just loud, and I get you're stressed out, we are all stressed, but had disregards for everything I had said. And on the night that I returned on Tuesday, I explained to her everything on why I had chose to leave. And she said that she heard that she was still my mother, and this didn't make her any less of it. But her actions after that have proven to feel otherwise. I felt like I have been isolated from my own family, including her, at that household, because of the way she is acting and acted. I don't want to go through another situation to where I feel like I have to worry for my own life or my own safety if that goes between their hands or mine. And I am hoping that I get to stay with my grandparents, because here I have a chance to actually have a life from what it feels like. At that other place, it does not feel as such. It has taken, I'm sorry, deep breath.
Good job, sweetheart.
It took so much that my sister had refused to go back home with her as well. When we were moved to Kansas my mother had moved me and my sister to Kansas to keep us safe from Ryan, is what she had explained to us. And Hannah did not want to go back and refused to go back into her custody over that. And throughout the months, and I've been messaging her, or have messaged her, my feelings, my thoughts, and how scared I am. And with Nick claiming to be a concerned father figure, I don't know him. He only knows what my mother has told him of me. I have only met him in person when I was moved to the house.
How long
I
ago
have ever
was
only
that?
spoken to him on call 3 times.
Your
How long
Honor,
ago was that? Hang
Your
on.
Honor, we moved
Ms. Gilliam,
from,
hang on.
yes, Your Honor. August 10th.
How long ago was that? Samantha?
August 10th is when.
Ms. Gilliam,
asking you a
third
question.
time.
I'm so sorry.
Samantha, how long ago was that?
How long ago we moved here?
Yes.
Around August 10th, as my mother says.
All right, Ms. Gilliam.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I thought you were addressing me with the question of when we moved here.
What else do you want to tell me?
Well, my daughter is right. There has been a lot of turmoil in her life. There has been a lot of moving. There has been a lot of upset. There has been a lot of things that they have experienced by proxy because of choices that I have made in my life. I have tried. We left to Idaho in 2017. And in the time that we had been there, I had taken my daughter to several different mental health professionals, to several different doctors, because she has told me that she struggles and that she needs help and that she wants to see somebody. During the course of that, it either turns out that I take her in for the appointment for things that she needs or says that she needs, and then she doesn't talk to anybody about it, or she will back out of the appointment altogether. I've been in Washington 6 weeks. I just recently got signed up for food stamps, and I have the medical insurance in process, but because they have to verify that Idaho is no longer carrying medical benefits for her, I have to wait. I don't have an issue with Samantha seeing her grandparents or being involved with her grandparents. I had an issue with the events that occurred that weekend. Was in my perspective, I was reprimanding my daughter, and then all of a sudden it turned into this big thing. But because there were things that I have discovered that I have not been able to talk to Mr. Breitmeyer, to her dad about, it's turned into this whole convoluted mess.
How far away from the grandparents are you living now?
So my mother lives up behind the country club, and we live so 15-20 minute drive, give or take, for traffic. And over the course of all this, in the time that we've been here, I have had to get a new job. I've had to do Samantha move schools. Originally, we were going to stay in Idaho for the remainder of her senior year, but there was an issue with my vehicle, and my vehicle broke down, and my two choices were to either pay for the vehicle and not be able to pay rent and lose the house, or pay for the house and not be able to get to and from work so that I could sustain our living situation. Mr. Smith and I've known Mr. Smith since I was 13. We've been friends for a very long time. And when I spoke to him about the situation, he invited us to come here, which was great. We were going to be closer to family. Sam hasn't spent a whole lot of time with her grandparents because we've been in Idaho for the last 6.5 years. In the last 6 weeks, I've had to get medical. I've applied for food stamps. I've started a new job. Nick had to tell his kids that their mother passed away a week before this whole thing started. And it has been one hit after another. And I know that Samantha feels uncomfortable. I know that everything feels rushed, but I am doing my absolute best to get everything situated for her. But I don't make enough money to afford a private pay medical insurance. My job doesn't offer it. And the only way that I can get medical is either to have her on state Medicaid, or unless there's some way that her dad can carry state Medicaid for her somehow. And she was living with her dad for a period of...
I could get her medical right
Breitmeyer?
now. Sorry, Your Honor.
Yeah. No, and Eddie did have her for a period of 9 months, and she seemed to thrive, but there was an issue with housing at some point, and it turned out that Sam had to come back to Idaho with me.
All right.
And then, but I've been here for 6 weeks. We moved here on the 10th, and in that time frame, I've been applying for the state benefits so that I can get her into somebody to help her with her issues, but they haven't, because they have to confirm that Idaho no longer carries anything. I have to wait. And like I said, I don't have an issue with Samantha having a relationship with her grandparents. I don't have an issue with her seeing anybody that is part of her family. And she's not at risk at the house. She's not. There has been some issues at the house, yes, but that was due to a couple years ago, Nick's dad was murdered in his home. And then like he moved his 15 years of life with his 2 children into his mother's home to try to help repair everything. And then he suffered a heart episode in March that he's been recovering from. So he's been trying to take care of a 2-acre piece of property with no help after recovering from a heart issue. My daughter is not at any risk. I mean, yes, I am frustrated and I'm irritated with the way these events have happened, but I'm not angry at my daughter. I know that my daughter needs help. And I will do whatever I can to get her that help. And if that means that she feels that she would be better off with my parents, then maybe that's the route that we need to go. But all of this, it's heartbreaking. And the only thing that I want to do is help my child.
All right, Samantha? Can you hear me, dear? Are you enrolled in school?
Yes.
Where at? Okay, and have you talked to the school counselors there about getting some help for the issues that you've raised?
Not to the specific counselor, no.
Didn't you
Okay.
talk to the woman across the street?
I did though, but she isn't part of the school.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Samantha, first of all, I want you to understand, I'm not discounting or disbelieving anything you're telling me. Okay. Now, having said that, there's standards that I have to go by. And so I have to dismiss the guardianship petition. Okay, so number one, please, until some other services are in place, go to the school, talk to the school counselors. That's number one. Number two, Ms. Koss, I understand exactly why you filed this. If I was in your position, I probably would have done the same thing. Okay. I'm saying that to not discourage you from filing a second one if things go as you think they might.
Okay.
Ms. Gilliam, it sounds
Yes, Your Honor.
like A, there's an awful lot that's got to be done before your daughter should come back into that house.
Yes, Your Honor.
B, the best way you've got of completely destroying your relationship with her is to force her back into that house.
Well, at this time, Your Honor, based on my daughter's reaction to all this, I am not opposed to her staying with my mother until all of us can sit down and actually talk.
I think that's probably an excellent idea. And I think that probably shouldn't happen until after that counseling's in place and Samantha knows that she's safe and going to remain safe.
Yes, Your Honor. So my mother gave me a packet for Core Health, but they won't see her without insurance. And like I said, I'm still waiting for her insurance to come through. Do you know of anywhere that I can find a place to sign her up for services until the Medicaid is in place?
I wish I did. The one thing that I know can happen is if you sign a temporary custody agreement with your mother when she's got her, then whatever insurance they've got generally can cover that.
Okay, well, from what my mother and I have spoken a little bit about that. From what she said, for whatever reason, Sam can't be added to her insurance, but I'm not quite sure why.
Well, it might be because you lack that agreement for temporary custody. So Ms. Koss, check with your insurance about that and see if that would resolve that issue.
We will take care of that.
Okay. This is one of those circumstances where I hope everybody acts with a great deal of compassion and concern and goes very, very slow.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Samantha?
Yes.
Sounds like your mother heard everything that you said too. You understand that?
I'm just worried that it will come back around in a series of bad texts.
I'm not telling you not to be concerned about that, but from what I'm watching here, you're not being ignored. Okay, so take some comfort in that, get to school, go talk to the counselors there. Sounds like you and your mom need to have some phone conversations just to keep the lines of communication open. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brightmeyer, obviously
Your Honor.
they got a ton of work to do. To the extent that you can support either one of them or both, I'm sure it'll be helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I will sign the order dismissing, and I hope it goes well from here. As I said, last thing I want to leave everybody with is Ms. Cost. That is not a indication that you should not consider filing a second one if things don't go the way that we all hope they will.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I honestly do believe that it would be the better choice to be with Miss Tammy Cost.
And that may or may not be the case, but that's not the standard that I have to follow.
Yeah.
So
I understand that.
all right. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you, Your Honor.